Good afternoon, professor and classmates. I'm Fillan. Today I'll be talking about gender stereotype on Disney princess movie. And here's my table of contents. First is the introduction, then I will talk about what is gender stereotype, and introduce you the 4 common types of gender stereotypes. Then I will introduce the 2 eras of princess movie, which are domestic era and independent and free-spirited era. Then I will draw the conclusion for you. Before my presentation starts, I want to ask you a question. Did you still remember the princess movie you saw in your childhood? The first one you came up in your mind probably is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, or Beauty and the Beast. As for the kids nowadays, the answer may be Brave and Frozen. They are all classic and popular princess movies. They seem to be different in some way, but they also bear some similarity at the same time. For instance, most of the princesses in the movie wear dresses and have long hair. However, is there any problem with the way Disney presents its princesses in this film regarding to female in society? Let's leave this question to the end of the presentation. According to Martins, children spend at least 20 hours watching movies per week, which means that the media has a lot of impact on them. The content that the movie convey not only entertain the children, but engrave some values in their minds. Therefore, it's essential to give the children correct content in order to build up their values. Now I'm going to move from my introduction to the next part. What is gender stereotype? According to United Nations Human Rights Office of the Commissioner, gender stereotype is a generalized view or preconception about attributes or characteristics of the rules that are ought to be possessed by or performed by women and men. A gender stereotype is mostly harmful when it limits women's rights and men's capacity to develop their personal abilities, pursue their professional careers, and make choices about their lives. Without a doubt, gender stereotype can be positive and negative at the same time. What matters is how we use it. In addition to the definition, 4 categories of gender stereotypes are often be seen in the media has also been identified. They are personal traits, physical appearance, domestic behavior, and occupation. Personal traits have to do with the expectation given by the public. Take Snow White for instance. Women at that time are often expected to be accommodating and emotional, while men are usually expected to be self-confident and aggressive. Physical appearance has to do with the outlook of the character. Take most of the Disney princess movie for instance. Princesses in the film are usually depicted as thin and graceful, while men are mostly tall and muscular. Besides, princes in the film are always in a dress, which are stereotypical to the genders. Although the personal traits of the princesses have changed over years, the clothes on them seem to remain the same for over 70 years. As to the domestic behavior, it means that some people expect the women will take care of the children, cook, and clean the house. We can easily see these domestic behaviors in the princess movie in the early ages, such as Snow White and Cinderella. Snow White helps the 7 dwarfs to clean the house, while Cinderella do the chores for her family as well. Last but not least, gender stereotype is also relevant to occupation. According to the statistics, females is more likely to work in the field of teachers or nurses, while men work as engineers or doctors. After finishing the definition and brief introduction of stereotype, I'm going to show you the 2 periods of Disney princess movie. The first period is called domestic era. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, Cinderella, and Sleeping Beauty are the 3 representative princess movies that are controversial. Released in 1937, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs is regarded as the first Disney princess movie with damsel in distress theme. In the movie, she is seen doing domestic work around the dwarf's house, taking care of the dwarfs and the animals. Besides, Snow White is also seen to be naive enough to bite a poisonous apple accidentally. From those details in the movie, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs conveys the message to young girls that your duty are cleaning, looking after others, and waiting for a princess to save you. Cinderella is the typical happily ever after fairy tale. Just like Snow White, Cinderella deals with the house chores at home. What's even worse, in the film, Cinderella is an obedient servant who never stands up for herself and serves her sisters and mothers in her young age. Besides, there is a plot that the mice were seen together, a female mouse saying that leave sewing to the women. The line implies the gender stereotype in the early America. Lastly, in the end of the movie, Cinderella fell in love with her Prince Charming, who saves her life from her terrible family in the end. The story tells young girl that if you are beautiful enough, a wealthy prince will save you. In Sleeping Beauty, there are also some gender stereotypes against women. According to Astuza and Neezer, a deeper investigation conducted by Lamb showed that Sleeping Beauty depicts that women are passive creatures, having no will of their own. They are just portrayals who are waiting passively for fate and life to happen on them. In the movie, Prince Philip falls in love with the sleeping princess, Aurora, and saves her from the deadly curse by kissing her on the lips. It seems to be reasonable for a prince to save his true love. Nonetheless, if the one with curse is an ugly stranger, will the prince still kiss her? The answer to the question may be negative. In Sleeping Beauty, the love at the first sight belief is apparently instilled in the movie. As a young girl, watching a movie where the prince falls in love with you at the first sight instills the message that beauty is all that matters. If you are beautiful, a prince will fall in love with you without even knowing you. Now let's move from the domestic period to the next period, which is called Independent and Free-Spirited Era. Aside from those princess movies, Disney has also attempted to break through the gender stereotype by making strong and independent princesses in recent years. Mulan, Brave, and Frozen are the three princess movies that Disney has successfully broken through stereotypes today. First of all, Mulan is probably the most powerful, brave, and independent Disney princess in the 1990s. In the movie, she disguises as a male in order to fight in place of her sick father, which challenged the old female stereotype that women should just stay at home and deal with the house chores. Other than that, Mulan is the first princess movie that takes on a male role. Comparing Mulan with Snow White, Cinderella, and Aurora in Sleeping Beauty, Mulan shows more independence and positive characteristics of female characters. Mulan doesn't rely on a handsome and wealthy prince to her rescue. Instead, she is her own heroine. Undoubtedly, Mulan has victoriously established a positive role model that female always had a chance to stand up and fight for her own rights. Secondly, Merida in Brave is Disney's best feminist princess thanks to her fierce independence, courage, and refusal to conform to any stereotype that doesn't suit her. Instead of doing house chores and playing around with animals, Merida prefers archery, horseback riding, and spending time in the woods, which are far from our concept about a Disney princess. Moreover, when facing obstacles, Merida didn't rely on a Prince Charming to fix her trouble, because she is her own heroine. This bears a lot of similarity with Mulan. Lastly, the powerful heroine Elsa in Frozen is also a female protagonist who is independent of men. Queen Elsa re-establishes the trope that female power is a substitute for romance, and that selfless love will win her the approval of her kingdom. Besides, Prince is no longer a main character in Frozen. The main theme of Frozen is not damsel in distress either. According to Ben Hamill, Elsa is seen as both mighty and objectified, both angry and tempered. In other words, both subversive and conventional. So here comes the conclusion. With the generation improving, we can see more and more independent, confident, and persevered females such as Mulan, Merida, and Elsa. But it is still essential for us to be cautious of what we show and see on movies. We have to monitor carefully about the messages and implications shown on media, since those movies had a large impact on building children's identity. All in all, it is no doubt that Disney provides children with the first glimpse into unfamiliar cultures. Nonetheless, Disney has a penchant for stereotypes. Therefore, parents should be aware of this and monitor the media content. It is important to educate their children about the real-life image rather than the imagery ones. Disney can and will influence on the development of children's mind and their future real-life perspective toward genders. And here's my website pages for your reference. Thank you, everyone.